Greetings and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about the 1989 release by Lisa Stansfield, Affection. Now Lisa Stansfield could easily be counted as kind of one of those one album wonders from the late 80s, depending on where you live. Like in the US, she's mostly known for this album. However, she had many subsequent albums of various success, and she still records and tours to this day. Actually, one of my last concerts before COVID was Lisa Stansfield. Basically, it was the 30th anniversary of Affection. And I have to say, it was one of the best concerts ever. Like, ever. I think it was better than Madonna, better than Kylie. Like, it was really good. She just has really good music, really good arrangements. And I was having fun. And the French audience, they really don't get into concerts the way that Americans do. They're not, like, loud and aggressive. So I was, like, the only person, like, reacting thus in that way, so it was very weird, but it was so much fun. I was really a great time. However, the album did make a big legacy. She was a British crossover artist. She's a white singer doing more R&B themed songs, crossing over to the R&B charts, and having a lot of success, in both markets, UK and the US. She had little issues in the 90s in terms of her US success and such, but she's still, like I said, she's still around today, still releasing music, and it's pretty good music too. But I kind of feel like her first album really embodied everything she was about so much, and it's such a cohesive record that it kind of unintentionally stampedes on her other music. As much as I love her other music, and I would love to review her second record and even other records she's done. This one I think really takes the cake in terms of it really takes the cake in terms of her artistry and who she is or what she's about as an artist. You can tell right off that she was influenced a lot by Barry White. It's extremely evident that she's a huge Barry White fan, and the sound used in the album is very reminiscent of Soul to Soul's Keep On Moving, which we'll talk about that because that's it's not like a major thing, but it's definitely there. So this album came out in 1989. A little backstory: Lisa Stansfield won a talent show in the UK. She's from the UK. She won a talent show and subsequently released a bunch of one-off singles. She did join a group which I cannot remember. I can never remember their name. Blue Zone, and they released a few singles. Nothing of major success in either market. However, they did release a top 60 song in the US. That did that fairly well. I mean, top 60 is not nothing to smarf about. I mean, that's pretty good. But however, her major kind of chance came in 1989 when she sang on Cold Cut's album on a song called People Hold On. A very classic house song of the late 80s, early 90s kind of feel. It went to number 6 on the US dance charts, and that got the attention of Arista Records, who they were home to like Dionne Warwick and Whitney Houston and Aretha Franklin. So they were looking for a new artist, most likely to cross over. And since Lisa had that crossover appeal, they went to her. In my opinion, in my mind, as Wendy Williams says. But then one thing you cannot dispute about Lisa Stansfield is her talent as a vocalist. She is an amazing vocalist, and she has a good ear for hooks and for melodies. But her voice is really amazing. She can do a lot of things with her voice, quite talented. To this day, she's kept it very much in shape, and I highly suggest you see her on tour. At least if you're watching this, I saw you when you came to Paris in 2019, and that was the best concert ever. And I've been to so many concerts, and wow. Okay, because of course people who I review watch this. I have like 30 views for the last video. I don't have any views, but maybe, you never know. Maybe one day Lisa will Google herself and be like, oh, there's a new review. Let me check it out. Because she talks like that. She talks like this. Okay. So anyway, so Cold Cut's People Hold On was a good hit. It wasn't a massive single worldwide, but it did put her on the map as a vocalist, and it kind of got her out there. They did release a subsequent single with Lisa Stansfield, however, it didn't do as well. But either way, the page had been turned and she was signed to Arista Records. Now, according to Lisa, this album was recorded on a bare bones budget. And she was basically like a carpenter at night because they were like building the house they were living in or something. And during the day, she'd record her vocals on a very cheap, not cheap, but I guess a lesser expensive microphone, and everything was on a synthesizer. Which, yes, this album was very electronic in its, I guess not composition, but in the production. There's not a lot of live instruments. I mean, there's horns, but you can kind of tell that they're not live horns, but they're good. They're good. So the album came out in 1989, and the first single was This Is the Right Time. Yeah, This Is the Right Time, which was produced by Cold Cut. Is it Cold Cut? Of course, I'm gonna say Cold Cut when it's not Cold Cut. And it kind of emulates the sound of People Hold On. However, the rest of the record does not really do that. The rest of the album is very R&B, house, late 80s pop music, but it's definitely much more cohesive once you get past This Is the Right Time. This Is the Right Time fits the record, however, it's not the record itself. If you listen to This Is the Right Time, it won't give you the general idea. However, she really broke it big with the single All Around the World, which went to #1 in the UK, top 5 in the US, and went platinum in the US. It spawned a massive career for her. I mean, it really was the song that really propelled her to have a lasting career, I think. It was later sampled by Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, whatever, in the late 90s. Although he sang the chorus himself and it was pretty bad. I remember when she was on RuPaul's show in the 90s, RuPaul brought up the ay, 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 because she like ran around the world and ay, ay, ay. It's ay, 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 as in I, like I. Although it's ay, 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 I think RuPaul were compared to like an old Yiddish woman. And she's like, this is the only song that could make that work. And it's true. It's a really like obscure idea, but it really works for the song. So the song, the album overall sounds a lot like All Around the World. If you like All Around the World, or if you love that song, you will love this record. It is quite the cohesive album in the best way possible. I'm a major fan of it, so obviously I'm talking about it today with high praises. So when I say things like cohesive and this sounds like whatever, it's all with love. Like it's good. Like there's nothing wrong with cohesiveness and consistency. Like not every album has to be a smorgasbord of sounds, like. So anyways, and this definitely is not a lot of experimenting going on here, but although it does maintain your attention for the entire time. And wow, kudos, especially since it was done on such a low budget. Kudos to Lisa and her production team. She worked with her husband. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this because the names, I can't remember anybody's name. Okay, so she worked with Devani and Morris, Ian Devani and Andy Morris. So they basically, all three of them together, wrote and produced the album as a trio. And then Lisa was the vocalist, so she did all the vocals. There's no duets on this album. Cold Cut did produce This Is the Right Time, but for the most part, for the rest of the record, it's all Lisa and her team. I was gonna say crew, but not her crew. I was a kid. I was really young. I was like 3 when the album came out. And I remember liking it. However, when I was 11, the song was on one of those love songs of the 90s commercials, like those CDs that like, it's a compilation of like the best of the love songs of the 90s. And I heard like a 20, not even 20 second, maybe a 7-second sample. I was like, that's a good song. Let me check it out. So I went to the store. I found out what it was somehow, because it tells you on the commercial actually. And I looked her up, I guess on, what was it called? CD Now, maybe? I don't know. Internet back then was weird. I looked her up and I found out who she was, and I went to the record store or the CD store, and I bought the CD and I loved it. And then I actually bought her third CD, well, her third US CD is called Lisa Stansfield. And then I bought her second album, which was called Real Love. Her third album, which we'll go into, never got released in the US. And I mean, I have it, you know, in my collection. It's a great album. However, I can kind of see why. I mean, in a defensive way, like playing the devil's advocate, but we won't go into that too much. We're definitely going to be talking about this record for the duration of the time. So yeah, I became a fan of hers, but I didn't get a chance to get her actual third album until years later because it wasn't distributed in the U.S. And I lived in a small town, so they're definitely not having imports or, you know, like specialty records. So Natural, by the way, it's called So Natural. So this record, let's talk about this record. If you have ever heard Keep On Moving, Don't Stop by Soul to Soul, that drum beat that they use, Lisa and her producers took that and they ran with it. They didn't just run; they ran a marathon and they won the race. It's a great drum pattern. Definitely all keyboards. It's definitely very electronic. There's nobody played a drum on this record, but it's used in a good percentage of the albums. They diversify. It's not the same drum beat every time. However, it's very similar. And if you've ever heard someone say, all of the songs sound the same, it's very possible they could have been talking about this record because there is a lot of cohesion on this album, but in the best way possible. It's like, you know, if you have a good thing, milk it, you know, and she did, and she definitely did. I can see why the second record was so drastically different. I mean, yeah, the drum beats definitely are gone and everything, and she's a little bit more fresh, but this album is just so amazing, but it's just, I mean, there's a lot of songs on this record, but let's get into it. So the album went to number 9 in the US and number 1 in the UK. It went platinum in the US and sold 5 million copies, which I thought it was more. I thought it was like she sold like 10 million copies, but 5 million. I mean, considering most of it was the UK, that's not bad because the UK is a small country compared to the US. And the fact that she even crossed over to the UK, I mean, that's pretty rare that an artist crosses over with support from their label and makes it in the US and has a sustainable career. That's pretty rare from what I've done, from what I've seen, it's pretty rare. By the way, I have a Lisa Stansfield t-shirt. However, we just moved and I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. It's not in a box. We were unpacked, but I don't know where I put it. I had it made in Paris and they used the cheapest material. These shirts were made in LA and they have really good material. Like I designed this shirt. My Lisa Stansfield one was made in Paris and it has the worst material, and I wore it one time to the concert and it got destroyed pretty much in the washing machine. However, I think it would have worked for the video, but okay. So 13 minutes of talking about nothing. Let's talk about the album. This is the right time. It's a very Euro house song. It has a dun 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 dun, like almost like car horns in the beginning. Very just like loud to get your attention. Very classic house song, fun, vibrant, energetic, great chorus, you know, this is the right time. I can't sing, by the way. Great song. It wasn't a massive hit. It wasn't just, it was the first single in the UK, and it wasn't this amazingly like chart-topping hit, but it definitely got her, it kept interest in her. And I think back then they didn't always release the strongest thing. Also, she just had Cold Cut song with People Hold On. So I think it was kind of released as the first single to be like, hey, it's Lisa. She's continuing this sound, which isn't really true. So it's a good song. However, it sticks out on the album as being the only it's the only song on the album to not be produced by her team. Everything else was done by her team. Like literally everything else was done by the three of them. So, yeah, it's a great song, but it does stick out. Definitely in the US, it's not number 1. Okay. So I'm holding the European Deluxe Edition vinyl. The UK and the US version are different in track listings, and they did make some tweaks to the single versions, which is on this copy. So I'm going to be talking about, as much as I can, the UK, the US, and the special edition. there's not too much to tell, but if you have a very good ear, you can hear the slight differences. And I do mean slight at times, but I hear it. I do. So, yeah, so this is the right time. It's not the first song on the US album. All Around the World is, for obvious reasons. However, on this version, it is. By the way, I love this album cover. Oh my god. And the back cover, they're perfect. Like, they're so perfect. And then there's that was used for the All Around the World single. And then there's some pictures inside. I usually don't talk about the artwork, but that's pretty cool. Like, I don't know, I just think it's so sleek and simple and iconic and all that good stuff. By the way, I'm very sorry I did not show the Toni Braxton vinyl or Whitney Houston. They're very rare, and I did not want to like take it out, like, and then like, oops, I dropped it, you know. But I do have them, and if you want to see pictures of them, they're on my social media. So, anyways, the next single is Mighty Love. Mighty Love starts off as if it's going to be this drastic dance song. However, no, it's not a dance. I mean, it is a dance song, but it's not a hands in the air club song. It's very more subtle, and this is the first appearance of the drum beats that I'm talking about. It's like it has like a jumping back and forth, teeter-tottering kind of sound to it. It's very hard to explain. It was very popular in the early 90s, and even used up until 93 with CeCe Peniston's Crazy Love. So if you've heard that song or All Around the World, you know what I'm talking about. It's not used in a lot of songs. It was used on Friends Can Be Lovers, which Lisa wrote for Dionne Warwick in 1993, and it has the same drum beat. It's a good drum beat. It's a really good, and in fact, I would say it's my favorite drum beat. Like, I know people are like, really? It's just a really good drum beat. So Mighty Love is the first song to have that. It has piano, jazzy keys and piano. It's a very acid jazz song, kind of before Brand New Heavies and Jamiroquai. But it's a great song, just basically about a mighty love. It's kind of a weird song title, I think, Mighty Love. As a kid, I was like, Mighty Love. But it's a great song, very catchy, very much in the vein of All Around the World. It has the strings, and it sounds like very white, but modern. And Enigma Sadness has the same drum beat. So if you heard that song, then you definitely know what I'm talking about, because they use that drum beat sample, which is pretty much, in my opinion, ripped off of Soul to Soul. So Mighty Love is a great song. It's just about a good love, and her vocals are amazing on it. So this album is very cohesive, and it's a lot about love. So, and the same drum beat and very similar chords. So I'm gonna really be commenting on that. If you listen to All Around the World, you really have a good idea about this album, because not only does it sonically sound similar, however, the quality is there as well. So if you really like that song, you're really gonna love this album. Like, I cannot stress that enough. And so I've been talking about this for 20 minutes. It's true. Sincerity. This is kind of like a social song about basically apathy and how we kind of live our life, and we don't reach out to people. We don't help because someone else can do it, or we don't have the time or the money. And what she's saying is that we need to have sincerity and to help each other. And it's a very it's a social commentary song, but the drum beat's so good, and the pianos and her vocals are kind of subtle, and she says sincerity 8 million times. It's amazing. It's such a good song, but it kind of does make you forget about the actual topic. It's kind of sexy too, it's a sexy song. I on Lisa's fourth album, Lisa Stansfield, she has a song about abuse called Suzanne. And in the song, the protagonist is reaching out to her sister, saying, "Hey, I'm in danger. I'm being hurt. I need you. I need your advice." But the background music is so 70s, it's easy. You can definitely connect the two. There's nothing wrong with having that music for that lyrical content. However, it's a little random, because it's kind of sexy music, and Sincerity is kind of sexy of a song. If you were to make it instrumental, it wouldn't be hard to think of it in a, just to play like, you know, like in a chill manner. Like it's the lyrical content kind of does get lost in that. But she says sincerity so many times, you're like, okay, the song is about sincerity, but I really don't know what she's talking about. However, it is a good song, and I think Lisa does a good job at writing about social commentary without being over the top, and she's giving like specific instances, you know, like about apathy. That's a very specific thing. It's not just, oh, let's heal the world. It's more like, hey, this is the problem that we're going through in this world is apathy. I see this, and we're all so self-involved and kind of worried about ourselves, but we're not seeing ourselves as a whole, as one community. We're seeing like me, which was very 80s. And yeah, so she does tackle that with rather finesse and such, and I think it's a great song. It's one of my favorite songs, actually. She did perform it live in the late 80s, early 90s, but when I saw her, did she perform it? She had to have. Yeah, she sang all the songs, I think. Oh man, that was a good concert. That was a good concert. The Love in Me. This one's a little bit more houseier, a little more dancey. However, it has the same drum beat. It's just sped up. Oh my God, Love in Me. Again, it's just a love song. Yeah, like lyrically, you can tell this was maybe rushed. It's the love in me. Like, I think they thought of cool titles, and they're like, let's write a song about that. Like Sincerity, The Love in Me, All Around the World. Those are great song titles. No, but The Love in Me is actually, the song is rather progressive because she's talking about being with a man or woman, I don't know who knows that he can go out and do what he wants, because she knows he's going to come back to her. So it's kind of like an open relationship kind of song in my interpretation. Like she's like saying, hey, you go have fun, you do what you want, because I know you're coming home. I know it. There's no question. It goes without saying that you're coming home. So good on you, Lisa. Good on you. Very sex positive of the late 80s, which was not a sex positive time. So anyways, so that's a great song, great dance song. Yeah, so you have a lot of great songs before the major single. So this is track 4, and it's already like 4 amazing songs. No filler, no whatever, like, oh, there should be a B-side. This is track 4, so we're doing really well. Number 5 is All Around the World. Now, this was a song that was slightly mixed for the US 7-inch single. The British video, overall, if you hear this song, you're going to hear the electronic drum beat. However, the US version has a more organic drum beat. The same style, however, it's slightly different, and there's a little bit of like keyboard elements through the song that are not on the actual original. This includes the deluxe version includes the US single version. I'm not a fan of what they did with the single version. I think they should have left Well Enough alone. But I remember as a kid or whatever, I grew up with the UK album version. That's the album. That's on the video. You see it when you hear at the club. That's what they play. Like so the 7-inch remix. I've never heard that outside of this album, so I'm not sure why they included that. It's not like the well-known version, and it's not drastically different. It's really subtle in their differences. All Around the Road is her best song. It's such a great song. It's about her not being able to find her baby. Apparently she had a child and couldn't, I'm kidding. No, it's basically she had a fight with her lover, a quarrel, and she said so many things he didn't know. And it's such a great song. It's really catchy. It's like, I did too much lying. I like to translate it. Estuve mintiendo. Llorando tonto. Yeah, no, sorry. Too much, yeah. Oh no, I did too much crying, wasted too much time. So, perdiendo tanto tiempo. Ya estoy aquí llorando. I like to translate songs. Spanish and French. Yeah, so this one is an amazing song. It went top 10 in the US, number 1 in the UK. And actually, this album did well in France. It went to the top, number 20, 21, 22. Not bad, but you do see this in France a lot. Like, this album was very easy to find in France. Although I have not seen her others, except for Deeper. her last album. I saw that one in France, but I haven't seen her other albums. Like I didn't see like Real Love. I had to buy it online, so. But yeah, All Around the World is the single. It's the Lisa Stansfield single. It's her signature song, and definitely the one that people know her for. That's a bit redundant. Great song, so catchy, so good, perfect drum beat, perfect strings, perfect vocals. She really gives it her all, and there's a story to it. Like she's like looking for her baby, and like you're like hoping she finds him. The video is really cheap. She's like in this room with like a map of the world. It's like pink, and then it's like pink, white. It's like a pink wall with like black outlines of the world, countries, like continents and stuff. And she's like spinning, or the room is spinning, so you see like these men behind her, and then or she's outside in the rain. Yeah, it's a great song, but the video is kind of weird. I do like the video, but I when I was a kid, I imagined the scene of her like in the pink room by herself without the men, and then during the verses she'd be like on a New York City street like strutting her stuff singing. I don't know why I thought that. And I thought she should have like longer black hair, which I like her hair, but I thought if she had longer hair for the video. Anyways, so that ends side A of the deluxe, and also the regular vinyl, by the way. So I did buy the original vinyl as well because of the differences, and it's the same. Like I'll tell you why later, but it's the same track listing as this, except for the remixes. What did I do to you was also a single in the US and the UK. It didn't do super well, but it's a great song. Again, it's more housey, but it still has a very similar style in terms of theme and vocals and influences as the rest of the record. It's a little more houseier, yes. The 7-inch version adds this weird little like this clinky percussion. I hate it. I really hate what they did with this. And it's a 7-inch version. It's on the deluxe. It's easy to find. Like you can find it on iTunes if you're just curious how different they are. The video is just like a live performance. It's not too special. I think by then they were kind of done, and she was moving on to record her second album. Great song. The maxi single had a bunch of B-sides, which were later added as the bonus songs on the album, such as My Apple Heart, Lay Me Down, and Something's Happening. Which I'm going to talk to you about those songs because, yeah. So What Did I Do to You? It was mostly that. Like it was kind of like was it the last single? Okay, is it the last single or not? I think it is the last single. No, You Can't Deny It was released in the US after that. However, I think it was maybe originally planned to be the last single. It feels like it should have been the last single, basically, to me. And I have my reasons. So it's just a great song. It's a breakup, and she's basically saying, what did I do to you? Like she's questioning why things ended the way they did. That's really it. Not much to the song lyrically, but it's catchy, and she's like, the way that we were, that's the hook. And it's just a great house song. It's a lot more lively than the A side. It kind of like, hey, a little bit more party-ish. Live Together is another social commentary song, which you would think when I was a kid, I thought it was about living together, like two people like love each other, they live together. But no, I think it's like literally like a social commentary song about like we need like racial and all kinds of prejudice that we have, religious and gender and sexuality and economic and class and all that stuff. Like we need to get past that and live together, basically, if we want to be free, meaning we need to do this. It is kind of a We Are the World, We Are the Children, but it's done to a very smooth beat. It's a little, I really like the da 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 da. Like it's great. It's a really catchy song. However, it is a slight weaker than the rest of the album. It was a single. It didn't do amazingly well, but it did okay. And in the UK, and I don't think it was released in the US, or at least it didn't chart in the US. But I don't think it was released in the US. I don't think I've ever heard it in the radio. And by the way, I do research these things, but it's so hard because it's like Yeah, I just don't remember every single thing. All this is done again. This is all done by memory. No script. No nothing. But yeah, Live Together. It kind of deviates a little bit from the formula a little bit in terms of the drums. The drum tempo is slightly different than the rest. Like it's not like sped up or slowed down. It's literally like a different kind of thing. But again, it fits on the album. It's just a slight outlier that I'd say it's one of the more I don't want to say experimental. But yeah, I guess if the rest of the album were not experimental, this would be the experimental song in terms of the drum beat and structure and rhythms of the song, if that makes sense. You Can't Deny It. Now, this was released in the US and was a top 20 single. Ow. It's a great song. Again, it was slightly remixed, and I do mean slightly, for the US market. It's very hard to tell, but I can tell. I have the ear, and I can see the subtle differences. The regular version has like an explosive chorus beginning, like it kind of stops and then starts again, whereas the US version kind of just blends more together and becomes more cohesive of the melody and structure from the bridge to the chorus. It's not drastically different. I think this is the most subtle change. And I actually like the US version and I like the UK version. They're very, very similar. And I mean 99% similar. There's like 1% slight difference and you really have to listen for it. Like if you don't care and you just play it, you won't. It's not like it's even polished. It's just slightly different. Slightly. But it was a single and it was great. I do remember it being played and such. It sounds a lot like All Around the World, but in the best way. It is kind of like the little sister or the big sister of All Around the World, where it's bigger, it's smaller, it's good, but it's not necessarily better. It's good. It's a great song. But since it's so similar to All Around the World, I wouldn't say it's as good as All Around the World. That's only because like I'm ranking, like these critiques are not like, oh, I hate this album, obviously. It's more like looking at it from like a third party aspect. Like I like it, however, I am critiquing it and I am ranking them and I am talking about them as a whole. So if I say, oh, it's not strong as that one, I'm not saying it should be deleted or skip it. It's just not. That's it. Poison also has the same drum beat. It's very much with the same beat, although there's a little Michael Jackson-esque like to it. And I remember loving the song as a kid and thinking the video should have been done like in a scientific lab and like with like lightning and thunder and she'd be like wearing like a green dress with like a coat and she would be dancing like keep it hooded to yourself. Like I don't know, I imagine the video was just like so fierce and like almost like a drag queen kind of look, and it was not a single. It is very dated. Like I think it's the most dated of the songs. It sounds very much like late 80s. And it kind of lacks the freshness of the rest of the album. However, I think it's like campy fun. Also, it's like about a horrible man. He's poison. He's a no good man. He's no good. When Are You Coming Back? That's a more subtle song. It's again very similar drum beat, but very slow and very catchy. Very similar to All Around the World. Like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? Been around the world and now you... Like, it's not the same melody, but it's so like it's cohesive. She knew how to make an album out of. She kind of took something and just milked it. She juiced it. I love that. So. Yeah, it's just a great song. It's like, when are you coming back? I wonder what it's about. It's about her wanting someone to come back. I love her, of course. Yeah, it's you can tell that there was like, okay, she wasn't like Joni Mitchell songwriting, but there's just something, and in fact, there's even lyrics. I'm like, oh, that could have been like another draft, but there's a charm to it. It's different, and you can tell it's definitely written by her. It's not like they gave her songs and she made it happen. She wrote these songs, and you can really tell that it was like done with talent, but maybe needs a little polishing. Yeah. Affection and When Are You Coming Back are no, they're not that similar. Affection is a little bit more uppity. It's like whereas When Are You Coming Back is more like so. Affection's great. It was cut off the original vinyl release because there wasn't enough space. So when you buy the like '89 vinyl release, it does not have it, even though it's the title track. It's a great song, Affection. She did sing it live. I do remember she sang that live. It's just a fun uppity song. It's not filler, but it's not the strongest on the album. But I don't know why they cut that one. I would have left it. It's just how affection is a way of life. Again, I think she thinks of really cool titles, or just titles in general. Like, I like this title. Let's just go with it. Like, affection, it's a way of life. Okay. It's good. I like it. I love it. I think there's like a charm. I said that, a charm to it. It's just super. But yeah, same drum beat, pianos. Wake Up Baby. Okay, so that one is a little more subtle and a little bit more serious. It's like basically the love is going downhill. She's saying, wake up, baby. Don't you see I'm half insane? And it's clearly the antagonist's fault. It's Lisa's perfect. Again, another album where the protagonist of the album is perfect and they are dating somebody who's no good in a lot of the songs. Which does happen. I mean, I definitely know that you can have not a perfect person, but a really good lover who's with someone who's not so great. Like not lover, but like, I don't know what you call it, spouse, partner. I don't use the term partner. No, I don't. I'm married. I have a husband. I do not have a partner. Not that there's anything wrong with partner. I just don't like it myself or me. Like the same reason I don't like Katy Perry. It's not horrible. It's just not for me. Like I prefer Lisa Stansfield. Anyway, Wake Up Baby is a great song. It has a great flute. Like flutes. Do, do, do. Like the whole album is very soulful influences, like from Barry White and other like 70s R&B soulful acts. And that's definitely like more soulful and more subdued, I think, than the rest of the songs. Great bass line. Do, 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 do. Very good. Very catchy. Great. She sang it live too. Amazing live. Amazing. I wish they would release a new version of this with a live concert from that, because that was a really good concert. And she sang an unreleased song from the era, but she didn't say what it was called, so I'll have to look it up. If you know the song that Lisa Stansfield sang at her 30th anniversary for Affection tour, and it was not released on the album, however she sang it, and it sounded very similar to the rest of the album, and it was not another album's release. Like, I know she sang songs from other albums, but this one she focused on, she sang an unreleased track. What was the name of the track? The Way You Want It. Now, The Way You Want It, maybe the weakest song. It's a little Prince-ish. Definitely influenced by Prince, and it's like Any Way You Want. It's about sex. Do it how you want it, do it how you feel, do it how you've always wanted to. Like, damn, she's open-minded. But it's not smutty, but not that there's anything wrong with smut, but yeah, it's just a great song, and but definitely the weakest of the bunch. It's not a bad song, it's a great song, but it is the weakest of the bunch. Do it just the way you want it. Yeah, it is different stylistically as well. So maybe, but even without being different stylistically, it just isn't as good quality-wise, like melody and such. And I mean, it's fine her talking about, indulging in desires and such. It's great. It's just, it's not necessarily the best song. People Hold On, that was done with Cold Cut. Classic house song. It's a little hard. It's a little cheesy because like, people hold on. Like, again, the lyrics are like very simple. Just like, you've got to be strong. People hold on. You've got to be strong. It's good. It's like, give it up till love, give it to love. It's catchy. It's good. And it's pretty much the song that started it all, like in terms of her career. I mean, I guess Jackie would have been the first, but it didn't really. Nobody remembers her for Jackie, which was the top. I think it was top 60 song in the U.S. from the 80s. But yeah, it's called Jackie. But yeah, this song is good. Yeah, but I never really listened to it. But it's good. It's good. Lisa, good job. If Lisa's watching this, thank you. I love you. My Apple Heart, which again, this was released on the maxi single of What Did I Do to You? I was like, what song? Amazing. Apple Heart should have been on the album. It is so good. It's so similar to the rest of the album with that same drum beat and the pianos, and like it's so catchy. It has a beautiful soulful chord structure and arrangement. It's so beautifully sung. The lyric is basically about a man wanting to rush into love with her. So she likes him, she loves him, but she wants to wait. She wants to think about it first before they kind of just jump into this love. But he's like wanting to worm into that apple heart. And I don't know what apple heart means. I mean, I'm assuming it means like it's not super easy to get into, but it's not difficult. I don't know. Is it a British term, apple heart? Is it just something she made up? I don't really know. So let me know in the comments what you think apple heart means. But basically, it's an amazing song. Definitely one of her best of ever all time. I love it. And not on the album, the actual like proper album, which. But I love it. It's such a great song. She sang it live. Oh my god! When she sang it live, I was like, ah! It's like you can't go on weeding your way through my apple heart. You can't go on this way. I can't sing. By the way, sorry if I sing and like you're like, oh god, my ears. I'm assuming most people just listen to these. My 3 fans. I'm sure you guys just listen to this, and because there's not really much to watch. Lay Me Down. This one is a little bit more experimental. It's okay, but I can tell why it was left off the album. It's very simple lyrically. Again, it's a little sexual. Yeah, Lisa pretty much talks about love, no love, social commentary, and like open-minded sex. Deep down, lay me down. Yeah, it's a little bit more electronic than the rest of the album, and it does not have the same drum beat. This one and The Way You Want It are different from the record. Like, same songwriters and producers, it's just different. It's okay. Something's Happening, which is not really the last song on the album. I mean, technically the last song is Wake Up Baby. Like, if you were to buy the CD had Affection and Wake Up Baby, and then the rest of the songs, such as The Way You Want It, People Hold On, and Apple Heart, are tack-ons for bonus songs for the deluxe edition. Something's Happening is another bonus song that I can see why it wasn't released on the album. So these 3 songs, the Way You Want It, Lay Me Down, and Something's Happening, are the weakest, and they sound really nothing like the rest of the record. They're all soulful, and they're definitely R&B influenced, but there's just something different about them, and it feels like they were like first draft demos, and they needed more songs for like B-sides and so I don't know, but to me they're not. It's not the best song. It's actually Something's Happening is probably the weakest of the bunch, and unfortunately that's the last of the album. However, she went on to release Real Love in 1991. It spawned singles such as All Woman and Change, which were both pretty big hits in the US, as well as Set Your Loving Free, which is an amazing song. She did songs through the 90s for the 90210 soundtrack, Make It Right, and had a miniature comeback with Never Never Gonna Give You Up in the US. It didn't make top 40, but it wasn't a complete flop. But I love it. I love her 90s stuff. Her third album, So Natural, was never released in the US. I'm guessing because it never had like there's no like massive single on it that could, okay, yeah, this is gonna sell. It was a little bit of a step down quality-wise from her first 2 records. And even though I do think it's a good record, I can see why it wasn't pushed like the other records were. And then she made, other albums in the 2000s, but she took a little bit of a break. I remember after her Face Up record, she did that movie Swing, and then the soundtrack, and then she did she did another album of like covers, like standards, and then she came back with Seven, her seventh album. And that one's all new material, and it's a pretty good record. It had the first single, Can't Dance, and then she had Deeper, which was her most recent album, and that one's a pretty good record too. A lot of them are remixed for clubs and such, so she still makes really good music. It's very similar to this, but definitely more updated. And like if you listen to songs like 831, it's classic Lisa, only new, like it's new classic Lisa. Let's Just Call It Love. Never Gonna Fall from her fourth album is amazing. I mean, she has so much good music. Definitely an artist to get into. If you don't know about her, please look her up. She's amazing. I've been a fan of her since I was 11 years old, and I am 21 now, so I'm still a fan, 10 years later, even though this was 97. So yeah, give her a listen. Definitely give this album a listen. This is an A+ record, and I know I talked a little crap about the bonus tracks, but the bonus tracks really don't count. The album itself, I think, is pretty strong as is. I'm glad we have the bonus tracks. So we'll look at the record since this one's not super rare. So we have the inside. This is like liner notes, like just talking about the story behind the record and such. And then that's the sleeve for the first disc, because there's 2 discs. And this is for the second. She's looking like hot shit there. She's like, I'm too good. Yeah, so definitely check this out. Let me know in the comments your favorite song on the record, if you've heard the record. I wouldn't imagine you would listen to a 46+ minute review of an album you've ever heard, although you never know. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please let me know of any requests you have for future reviews. And let me know in the comments your favorite songs off the record, your favorite Lisa moments. If you saw her live, and what is the song she sang on her Affection 30 tour that wasn't released on the record? I know that, I'm not crazy, I know that she did, and it was a great song too, so I want to know what it is. Please let me know in the comments, and leave lots of comments. Leave all the comments you want, and share this video if you want to. Share, be like, oh yeah, I watched this guy ramble about Lisa Stansfield for 15 minutes. Please watch. So yes, this is my longest review. My God, and the thing is, lyrically, there's nothing really to talk about for the most part, but yet this is my longest review. But there are more songs. If you can see, there's more songs in my typical reviewed album. Thanks for watching, and have a good day.